Ladies and gentlemen, in this video we're going to go over two things. Two very simple things. One, we're going to go over when the Switch 2 will be revealed, and two, we're going to go over when the Switch 2 will be released. And both of these answers are very straightforward, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So in this video we're going to be covering two leaks that are very telling in themselves: the Switch 2 reveal and the Switch 2 release. Very simple, very straightforward. Before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, I'd truly appreciate it. And Tuesday and Saturday night I stream right here on YouTube, so come and hang out. But let's go ahead and get right into this video. So if you asked me, or I asked you, either way, vice versa, it doesn't matter, when do you think the Switch 2 is going to be revealed? 99% of the people would say March, and March does seem right. Like a spring reveal makes the most sense to me. It gives the Switch time to still breathe a little bit and get some more sales and try to hit that best-selling console of all time mark. But it gives enough time to also hype up this next console, start marketing for it, and to figure out the identity of this console, the gimmicks it's going to have, the games it's going to have, and kind of give you a real reason to even want to buy this thing. There's tons of leakers online. I cover a bunch of them. There's two leakers that I kind of always feel right in covering, and one of those people is Nate the Hate. And 2 days ago on Nate the Hate's podcast called Game and Talk, he said, Nintendo will announce the Switch 2 in March. Everything I'm hearing dating back to Gamescom last year is indicating something was happening in March. That talk has resurfaced in the past few weeks and is indicating the Switch 2 is set for a reveal or announcement in March. Now, that doesn't mean they're actually going to show off this console in March. What I think is we're going to have a Nintendo Direct next week, and then I think there's going to be some kind of event happening in March. I think it will just basically say the next generation is coming. I don't think they're actually going to show the console off. I think the console will finally be shown off probably in May. I think that makes the most sense to just build up hype step by step. You know what I mean? If they just drop everything on you at once, what's the point? But we don't really care about the reveal, right? We want to know when we can actually play this thing. When is this thing coming? So I have another leak that's showing games for this console. So this is really kind of like 3 leaks instead of 2, but this is showing games that are kind of confirmed for the Switch 2, and when they're being shown off and where they're being shown off kind of lets me know when this thing is coming out. So this is coming after the Persona 3 remake. This game is doing so well. I think it's the fastest selling Atlus game of all time, and I think it sold over 1 million copies already. But the one console that this thing has not made an appearance on that everybody wanted was the Switch. Maybe this will happen. Time will tell, but there's also rumors that Persona and Persona 2 are getting the same treatment, and these will be making an appearance on the Switch 2, and these are coming from leaker Midori. He previously leaked details about Persona 3 Reloaded and DLC coming for this game, but what he's saying is that game, Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi, all these games will be making an appearance on the Switch 2. And when are they supposed to show off these games for the Switch 2? Well, that would be later this year. And when will that be? That would be in September. But where will that be? This will be happening at the 2024 Tokyo Game Show. And this is going on September 26, 2024 through September 29th, 2024. So if they're showing off these games for the next Nintendo console around that date, we can only speculate that the Switch 2 is going to be released within weeks of that. I think October is when this thing will come out, so we could have a March reveal and then an October release. But the end of September, they'll be showing off games for the Switch 2. This Persona games, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio. And this is just one developer showing off games. I'm sure we're going to get stuff from every big developer in the industry. Maybe even Activision finally showing off Call of Duty for this thing. But I think September is going to be a very, very exciting time. Also, September kind of lines up about the time we would have a Nintendo Direct. So all these dates are just correlating together and making the most sense in my opinion. The Switch is still doing incredibly well. It's very, very impressive how well it's doing this far in its life. It just is such a useful console. Nintendo finally got the perfect recipe, if you will. It's a handheld console, it's a home console. It has some of the best first party games of all time in one package. And looking back at it, it's kind of crazy. Like every single day there's hundreds of Switch games released. 99% of them aren't good, but every now and then you get that diamond in the rough, that little gem that squeezes through, and it just adds to the super impressive library. One question I keep asking myself is this console going to be backwards compatible? And I hope that's one of the questions that will be answered as soon as this thing is revealed. whenever they come out and say, look, this is the next Nintendo console, this is the next generation, this is what it's called, this is its quote-unquote gimmick, and these are the games we're going to be focusing on. I can see it going either way. I think maybe if it's not backwards compatible, at first that turns the average consumer away, and maybe even some fans away. But over time, give it a year or something, that really helps it in the long run and makes people want to buy it. If everything's just pointing at it being a little bit better of a console, like a bigger screen, more NVIDIA power in it, and just a better console, but it's backwards compatible, the average consumer is not going to care that much about it. So I think third-party support is going to be a big part of this next generation, and getting the average consumer in. People like us, we're getting it day one, right? And seeing this leak today saying Persona Games and Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio, just seeing that little sliver is like, okay, this thing is moving in the right direction. So if we're also getting stuff like Call of Duty on this, and maybe some GTA, and maybe some Far Cry games, and some Fallout games, and just all these big franchises that never made an appearance, stuff like that is really gonna push the needle for this next Nintendo console. Nintendo's kind of being wishy-washy right now with what they're saying about it, but they want to sell 15 million more consoles. You don't do that by saying, hey, the next Nintendo console's coming soon and the Switch 2 is on the way and blah blah blah. Like, that immediately would cut off sales. So I think what they need to do is do the first price drop. Maybe do Nintendo Selects to sell some more games or something like that, but I think it's officially time. I think it's been time for like a year or two, but I think it's time we finally get some price drops, at least on the version 1 Switch. Go from $300 to like $240 and include a game or something. But I think that's how they really get that last big push. And nobody's saying that they need to do that this year. As long as the Switch is still in the stores for the next 2 to 3 years, they will comfortably hit that 15 million mark. But if they were to say right now, hey, the Switch 2 is coming and this is what we're working on, it wouldn't halt sales, but it would definitely slow it down and have everybody start saving their money for the next generation. So I understand why they're being kind of hush mouth right now, but the 3 things we can take from this video: 1, a March reveal. I don't know if it's going to be an actual look at the console, but I think it might be a name or something like that. 2, Persona Games, Crazy Taxi, Jet Set, like all these games are being showed off for this next Nintendo console in Tokyo Game Show. And Tokyo Game Show is at the end of September, so 3, I don't know why I'm counting like this. Bear with me. 3, this next Nintendo console is probably going to be launching in October. That's my guess, and that's what this information is kind of pointing towards. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. The one question I really have for you guys is, what games do you want to see make an appearance on this next Nintendo generation of consoles? Like, what franchise that never made an appearance? Is it Call of Duty? Is it Far Cry? Is it Fallout? Is it Grand Theft Auto? Like, what do you really want to see beyond this next Nintendo generation of consoles? And follow me on Twitter and Instagram if you could. I'd really appreciate it. I like talking to you guys on my social media. It's a lot of fun. And you guys know me. I'll see you soon with a new video. Peace out.